Evening, our invocation and our pledge will be led by our District 6 commissioners. So the invocation at this time, Commissioner Carmen, could you please do that?
Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we come here tonight and thank you for all our many blessings. Just ask you to watch over us to help us make the right decisions for the county and the people of this county. Lord, we just want to thank you for all you do for us, all our families. Thank you for salvation, most of all, dear Lord. And anyone that hasn't found you, that may you lay a hand on them and touch their heart. In your son's name we pray.
Amen. At this time, Amber, can you lead our pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Madam Clerk, can you please conduct our roll call?
Beverly Atwood. Tommy Belcher. Shane Burton.
Here.
Alan Carmen.
Here.
Grant Cochran. Brian Cook.
Here.
Will Dennis.
Here.
Jerry Ford. Chris Gregory.
Here.
Jeff Gregory.
Here.
Bubba Gregory.
Here.
Landon Gully.
Present.
Judy Kerr. David Nollner.
Here.
Leslie Overman. Mark Presley.
Here.
Amber Russell. Lonnie Taylor.
Here.
David Thomas.
Here.
Steve Whitaker.
Here.
19 present.
Thank you. All right, everybody, you've had an opportunity to read the minutes from the packets you were sent out earlier and given this month. So if there'll be no changes, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes at this point. Okay, a commission work session has been scheduled. Vote, oh, there is 6, I'm sorry. I jumped again. So we'll take a vote on this at this point. All in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Okay, the announcements that I have right now is the commission work session has been scheduled for Thursday, February 6th at 6 p.m. here in the community center. We'll meet with Jim Langford of Spirit Architects to conduct discussions on the jail project. Are there any announcements from any of the that need to be made from any of the subcommittees or anything this evening from the work session? Yes, ma'am.
I do have hard copies of the W-2s. Please come see me. I need you to sign a piece of paper before I hand them to you. And that's for commissioners.
Thank you. At this time, we need to set the agenda. If there be no additions or changes to the agenda, do I have a motion to set the agenda as presented? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Citizens' response to any of the agenda items. If you wish to speak to the commission, please sign in at the podium. You'll be called to address the commission at the proper time then. Thank you. At this time is the county mayor's report. Mayor McCall, you do have the floor.
Thank you, sir. I just have 2 or 3 items to bring you up to date on. We did talk about this in the work session, but TDOT has signed off on the streetscape project, which will free us up to correct some of the curbs, and that'll be a spring project, but we have that lined up to get that done. We have narrowed down the number of architects that came and evaluated Ward School, and those 3 will be giving figures for that, and at that time we'll evaluate their figures and be ready to move ahead with the Ward School project. The multimodal project which is going to extend sidewalks on the right-hand side of the road coming up Broadway from the depot to McMurray is still ongoing. They're having to be some adjustments in the grant, but that's going to happen. The election commission is in a situation where there's no heat in the courthouse. And so some kind of provision is going to be made for them to find a place to land until the part that we're waiting on comes, and everyone knows how the supply chain has trained. It means that train. That flew right over your heads, didn't
No.
it? Supply train. We don't know how long it'll be to get that part here, so, Mr. Paxson has suggested maybe that he move across the street here temporarily. And then when somebody needs it, he can go back and get something, but I'll talk to Cliff Sallee with Public Works on that to find a place for them to go ahead. Phase 2 evaluation of the Ward School 8 acres has been complete. We're waiting for a report from EPA on that to see what the next move is on that. The committee that I meet with every couple of weeks that consists of the engineer and TDOT on the 141 project, and the bridge has not been built, by the way, but they're really making headway on opening up that land to get this project done, so we're real pleased with that. I guess that's all that I have as far as updates concerned. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, has someone already, gone into the election office? The one that they were in,
Which one?
the election office, the one that they were in?
The county extension services has taken that over that space.
Already?
Give more,
Okay.
But we'll be looking for a place to help the election commission get through, hopefully, the short-term situation. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to take our committee and board reports. Steering met on January 7 was the first meeting of the year. Basically, everybody that was there is going to be presenting their reports as is. I can say that we had a lengthy meeting, but codes and zoning has a few things regarding impact fees and stuff, but that is not ready. It's got to go back, and there's a lot of work to be done on that before we bring it forward. But other than that, we will have to take something we have to address is Commissioner Grant Cothran of District 3 has resigned from his office due to relocating to another district. This position will be posted. It looks like it's going to be posted in February. So any interested candidates in that district, if they can present themselves to the February 24th commission meeting and to be considered for the appointment. If there's anything else anybody has that would like to speak on regarding steering. Okay. So next we have personnel, Ms. Overman.
On December 9th, and elected officers, I was elected chair. Mr. Whitaker was the elected vice chair, and Mr. Dennis secretary. Then we met again on January 1st. We discussed 3 amendments to the personnel policy, the inclement weather policy, the payday policy, and holiday pay policy. We're still working on these amendments. Our next meeting is March the 4th at the mayor's office.
Thank you. So up next, we have codes and zoning, David Thomas.
Codes and zoning met on January 9th. We heard from Rick Gregory. He is got his part of things done as far as the combination of codes and zoning. He's waiting to send it to a formatter to get everything in line with the numbering and whatnot. That'll all be paid for what's already been budgeted for this project. So there's no extra fee for that. He's just letting us know that he preferred someone more qualified to do the formatting than he would. He said it'll be a little mess if he did it. So we also were looking over the blasting to bring that before us to this body. Went over that, discussed it, the questions that have been brought to when it came back, found answers, and ready to present that back to the full body. Got the impact fee into the agreement on that and what that should be, and have presented that to steering, and it's gone over to budget finance.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think that it may need to be returned back to steering as well for some more guidance on that one. Thank you. Okay, continuing on, Public Works again, Mr. Thomas.
Public Works, pretty much spent the meeting talking about the dumpster situation. Right now, our commercial dumpsters, commercial businesses don't pay for that dumpster. They only pay for their monthly fee to haul the trash off. So the cost of the dumpster, we're not being able to recoup that money at the current rate. to pay for the next dumpster when that one, the bottom of it rusts out. So Cliff's asking to get an increase on that fee. The discussion was whether we did an upfront cost on that or whether we just add it to their fee. He's also wanting to increase those fees because our contract has run out with Smith County and the cost of us hauling to Smith County is looking to go up. He did not know exactly how much. He was gonna be getting back to us. He should find out, later this month or middle of February. Also discuss the, in the urban, district, residential trash can pickups. Those were all given out. Those are all now out of warranty. He's looking at having to start replacing those. And so the discussion was, how do we pay for those new the new cans? Is that gonna be when you buy a new house, you pay a $75 fee up front, or do you just do a $2 or $3 increase? We're still discussing that. He's gonna bring us some more numbers to see how that's gonna play out. Of course, with the cost of our trash being hauled off going up, not knowing how much, we might have to do an increase anyway. So we're just holding off on any decisions so we have all the information pertaining to the expense of that. And that was for the most part our meeting. We still have not gotten the quote back from Caterpillar for the adjusted quote that we'd asked for. And so we're waiting on that to have any more discussion on the generator at the admin.
Thank you very much. So moving forward, Parks and Recreation, Bubba Gregory.
Yes, we did have a meeting on January 23rd. Like the first thing we discussed was the playground. So Mr. Salih let us know that the Trey Park sign has been repainted and it's up. So when the weather warms up, he's gonna put 2 benches right there as you go into the park. He's done formed the deal up to pour the concrete. They can put benches there, and I think that's about all that's left besides, I think he made some shrubs and stuff around in the spring. Another thing we discussed was the wood slats with the names on it. It was around the old fence. There was several things discussed on that. I'm hoping in our next meeting, we can come to an agreement of what we can recommend to the county court on what we're gonna do with that. Then we discussed the pool. We got a quote from Madison Pools to like redo the pool, the kiddie pool and all that. Looks like a bid of $138,500. Discussed that, was asking how long it would take and, it would probably take them to do it. And we could try to, if we did decide to do it, to where the money would come from. And if we could, might have to close the pool this year, or would it get done before the pool season? Or if we might have to wait till next year to do it. We're gonna discuss that more in our next meeting in February. We talked about grants. We did not receive the Blue Cross and Blue Shield grant, but hope to apply for it again, I think in August. Is that right, Amy? When we apply for that again? Then we looked at the state local parks recreation fund grant that would be $600,000. That was for the basketball, tennis, volleyball, pickleball courts, adding walking trails, LED lighted basketball court, and updated park master plan. But we put that off our next meeting too, because it would be a matching. We'd have to do some matching on that. We won't discuss that more in our February meeting also. Our next meeting is February 11th at 6 o'clock.
Thank you very much. Moving forward, Budget and Finance, Commissioner Gully.
Finance met last Monday night, went through all the budget amendments that are before us tonight. All of those did move forward with a favorable recommendation. Was some discussion at the, on the last agenda item of that, in looking at the, code and zoning piece of the impact fees and, budget finance, looked at the side of where are those increased funds going to be allocated to, what line item, what, where are those going? It was a recommendation from budget and finance that those, the increase, to whatever that increase ends up, there was no, let me be clear, there was no discussion of where it's going, what dollars are. Just that if an increase ends up happening, anything above the current rate be allocated, into the 171, which is the, I thought for a second, 171 is our, capital outlays project. Capital outlay project, line item, if you want to put it that way. So that was the goal, for where that dollar would go.
Thank you. Do you have anything else? All right, great. Thank you. Okay, moving forward, first responders, Amber Russell.
So our last meeting before this one that we had this evening, I was voted as chair, Judy Kerr, vice chair, and, Chris Gregory as secretary. Only thing that we really discussed after that in that one meeting was that we want to start having our meetings directly in front of the commission meetings each month. We met this evening. Everybody was here minus Mr. Whitaker. As far as EMS goes, they are fully staffed at the moment. They're looking at doing a remount or a new ambulance with some of their vehicles being over 200,000 miles. And again, that's going to be an 18-month turnaround. They have been completing their training that they need for the stipend that they get at the end of the year. We did go back and look at the hardship and write-offs just being seen by Matt, signed off on by Matt, and it doesn't really need to come in front of ours except for the numbers that we do each month. With fire department, the brush truck is still at Blankenship, so it's approaching, I think, a year now. They did give us numbers for our lean-to for vehicles, because they're gonna have at least one vehicle out of enclosure whenever the brush truck gets back. But we did ask for them to come up with more numbers before we could do any more evaluating on that. Also, Vector Solutions is something they're looking into. They haven't committed to it yet for their training because it also gives them state credits. With rescue, they are going to apply for the TARP grant. As far as them, they gave us sheets about a year ago on how much maintenance needs to be done at that rescue building. And not very much of it has been taken care of. So we asked if Mr. Salih could come to our next meeting so we could get an update on that. And they are looking at getting a new generator, which can be handled within their own budget. So that turned out pretty good. Law enforcement, we're gonna have 3 things come up towards the main commission's area. One on jake braking, surplus vehicles, and speed limits. Other than that, our next meeting is gonna be on February 24th.
Thank you. Is that it? Okay, do we have any other reports from any boards or committees that we may have missed? Chance? No? Okay, moving on into active business. The first thing we need to do is accept the resignation of our District 3 Commissioner, Grant Cothran. And, you know, it is unfortunate that he did move outside the district, but we do understand. There's going to be a position, as we discussed earlier. There's going to be a position opening. It's going to be published coming up here. So if anybody that you know of that's interested, that is in that district, please come to the February 24th meeting or have them do that, present themselves for consideration. They'll have to meet all the qualifications for the office regarding that. But do we have any questions or anything regarding Commissioner Cothran's resignation? Okay. So at this point, it's in the minutes that he has resigned or has resigned, and we'll move forward. Okay, the next item that I have is confirmation of the building official. Mayor McCall has interviewed. Yes. Yes, please. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
How are we gonna handle refilling the position this time?
It'll be an appointment. Yes. So all the interested commissioners that are in that district that are qualified should come forward. You know, so I'd appreciate that. If anybody knows anybody, put the word out. Okay. All right, so moving forward, confirmation of of our building official. Mayor McCall has interviewed several candidates. To my knowledge, the building official decision by him has been made. Rosalie Myhan has been selected to fill this position. And at this time, Mayor, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Just that, I might say that in the last, almost 2 years that she's been in that position, the number of complaints that we've had from builders and citizens have been practically nothing. It's kind of been, that hasn't been the case in the past. So she's done a great job, runs the office well, meets the public well, and we think she's the best choice for the job.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners regarding this appointment? Yes, Mr. Crook? Okay, well, we'll be there shortly. Does anybody else have anything that would like to speak regarding it? All right. Do I have a motion to accept this decision? Mr. Crook? All right. Mr. Gregory? All right. So this can be a voice vote, so all in favor? Any opposed? Okay. One no. Looks like motion carried. Yeah. All right. At this time, we got the acknowledgement of our debt management policy. Annually, the commission is to review the debt management policy and have it recorded in the minutes. There is no further action required by the commission at this time. There have been no changes in the policy since 2012. Are there any questions or concerns from the commission regarding this? Okay. Moving forward, Madam Clerk, it says, please record in the minutes that this policy has been acknowledged by the commission. Thank you. At this time, we'll be covering new appointments here. So that you'll find this on page 25 of your packet. So the following appointments have been presented, but to the commission for approval. So this time we have Board of Agriculture, which will be Alan Carmen. It's a reappointment for 2 years beginning February 1, 2025. Landon Gully, reappointment for 2-year term beginning February 1, 2025. Barbara Towns, reappointment for a 4-year term beginning February 1, 2025. And Jared Robertson, reappointment for a 4-year term beginning February 1, 2025. Does anybody have any questions regarding these appointments? Okay, moving on. Board of Zoning and Appeals. Paul Knudsen he's got a reappointment for 4 years beginning February 1, 2025. Cicely Saputo, a reappointment again for a 4-year term beginning February 1, 2025. We have a new appointment of Eric Langford for a 4-year term to begin March 1, 2025. And then Kendra Stafford, a new appointment that again will begin her 4-year term beginning March 1, 2025. Do we have any questions regarding these appointments? Yes, sir. Mr. Gregory.
Memory serves, Ms. Stafford had recently served on the water board and stepped down. Just kind of why someone who would step down from one board and would turn around and point him to a different one.
Would you speak to Ms. Stafford? Mayor.
We were meeting monthly with the water board,
Right.
and the Board of Zoning Appeals doesn't meet that often, and so it was a time pressure situation.
Okay.
Any other questions regarding this appointment? Okay, we're going to move on. Beer Board. Bobby Joe Lewis was going to have a reappointment for a 4-year term beginning February 1, 2025. Any questions regarding this appointment? No? Moving on. Health Officer Kathy Atwood, reappointment 4-year term beginning February 1, 2025. Does anybody have any questions regarding this Atwood? Okay, moving forward. Highway Commission, Bobby Joe Lewis, reappointment for a 2-year term beginning February 1, 2025. Any questions regarding Mr. Lewis? Thank you. Planning Commission, David Nalder, reappointment for a 4-year term beginning February 1, 2025. Does anybody have any questions regarding this one? Moving forward. Water and Sewer Board, Ben Fiak, it was, looking for, an appointment for a 4-year term. It says an appointment for a 4-year term beginning February 1, 2025. He serves as our Veteran Affairs Officer. And, I feel he'll do a wonderful job on that committee. Does anybody have any, questions on that one? Nope. Okay. Bubba's got first and Mr. Thomas got second. Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Moving to resolutions, you're going to see this on page 28 of your packet. That's resolution 2025-01-819 ECD road name, Compound Lane. Motion to approve and second. Anybody got any discussion on this? We got that? Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you for that. Ordinances beginning on page 32. We'll find in your book. This is the public hearing second reading for ordinance 313, 2024-13, rezoning R2 to R3 in River Valley. We'll hold a public hearing before moving into the second reading of this ordinance. Owners are requesting rezoning on a property located at 850 River Valley for future developments. I open the floor for the public hearing on ordinance 313, 2024-13, rezoning of R2 to R3 on River Valley. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to this item? Anybody here would like to speak to this item? Anybody here that would like to speak to this item? Yes, Judy.
I also have the impression we were going to hear about water rent before we.
We'll run off on this one.
I think it's fine, it's just that at work session.
She did. Ms. Myhan, do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
Basically, that the water issue or potential water issue being addressed during the planning session, we were bringing their site plan forward to bring the rezoning process. It was brought to our attention, and I have talked with the water department and with Bill Scruggs, and we're going to be meeting and talking about that. But before anything would ever be developed on there, it would have to come before planning.
Okay.
So would we rezone from R2 to R3 because if it can't be, if there's going to be issues.
Yes. Commissioner Gully. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And we're here to answer any questions on this property that anybody has as well. We're going to try to rezone it.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the property owner? Yes, sir. Mr. Thomas.
Close the public hearing.
Second.
A motion and a second to close this hearing. All in favor? Any opposed?
Yes.
Okay, one opposition, Judy Kerr.
Is that how you did response?
Okay, she doesn't vote. We will now move to the second reading of the ordinance 313, 2024-13, the rezoning R2 to R3. Are there any questions going further on this item? Mr. Gully. Motion? Motion and a second? No, it was, Leslie. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed?
No.
No, Northern and Judy Kerr. Roll call. No.
You said 2 noes.
Yes. 17 yes, 2 no. Looks like motion carried. Thank you. We will now start to go to the first reading on the blasting permit, which is 3/14/2025-01. You'll find this on pages 34, 35, 36, and 37 in your packets is where this is covered. It looked to me like 34. I went with the previous ordinance. Okay, so it is 36 and 37. I stand corrected. This was originally presented at the April 15th meeting, 2024. It was sent back to the committee for review to compare to the state requirements. This is setting a fee of $100 for blasting. This permit also allows for collection of information on the project and the companies doing the blasting so that we can determine all emergency departments that need to be notified in advance. It also, Commissioner Thomas, do you have anything that you'd like to add to this?
Yeah, so what we're looking at today is solely making this law and adding a $100 fee to recoup the permitting software and Rosalie's expenses of doing the extra permit. The reason it came back was there was questions about, signage. Well, for the signage, we looked, all the blasting that's been done around local all has PDOT orange and black signs out of the road notifying blasting. So that took care of signs. The committee felt that having another sign put up would just be redundant at that point. As far as enforcement goes, if this body chooses to make this law, which please let everyone know that the information is already being collected without a fee. It's already being collected and already been shared with all the first responders that were listed at the bottom. And everyone seems to be really happy about being able to have that information on hand. But if this is voted on to, this 2 readings and voted into law, well then, as far as enforcement goes, the sheriff's department would enforce it because it's a law in Trousdale County. As far as any punitive damages, it's already the policy of the permitting office that anyone who doesn't get a permit and violates, not having a permit, that their fee has been doubled. Anything else, if the sheriff writes a citation or happens to arrest, depending on how bad the violation would be, it would go before a judge and the judge would determine any punitive damages at that point. So we saw no reason to put anything other than the doubling of the fine as far as from the permit side of it. Those are the 3 questions that were asked and why we took it back for discussion. We now present it again with a favorable recommendation from the codes and zoning.
Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding this first reading?
One question. If it's redundant to, and that's saying, if TDOT's already has signs and it's redundant, if the information is already being collected without a fee, is it not redundant to require a fee to do it? This just seems like, to me, like another one of those.
Commissioner Thomas, would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, so right now, yes, the state does collect information, but they do not share it with the county, nor do they share it with any of the first responders in the county. So the whole point of the collecting of this information was so that people in Trousdale County could have access to that information.
Understood. Is there any other questions regarding this? Mr. Gully?
As I look at it, it talks about the stored at blasting start date. For example, there's a rock quarry or something like that. How is that, or dollar kind of a blast? Is it? I mean, I know it doesn't say that, but it's saying it expires at some point. It asks you to put a date of anticipated completion date. So how are we handling long-term pieces? I mean, what we're thinking right now for this piece is short-term. You're blasting for a road. It's going to happen for this amount of time. The road's supposed to be done at this time. I'm just making sure we're not looking at something that might need some additional pieces there.
Understood. Ms. Mayan, would you like to speak to that, please?
Yes, the permit is good for 1 year and it has to be renewed each and every year. That way we also capture the information. If their blasting handlers happen to change, they need to give us that information as well. So it is renewed each and every year.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, sir?
Small lettering is at the top.
Understood. Okay. Do we have any other questions regarding this first reading? Do I have a motion to approve? Okay. Second by David Thomas. All in favor? Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion carried on the first reading. Moving on to ordinance 315-2025-02 rezoning A1 to R1 on Sleepy Hollow. You will find this on page 38 of your packet. This is the first reading of ordinance 315-2025-02. The owner is requesting the change from A1 to R1 for a residential build on Sleepy Hollow. Ms. Mayan, again, could you speak to this for us?
Yes, this lot, as you can see, is only 1.91 acres. It is in an A1 zone. And so it's a non-conforming lot. So if anybody wanted to build on this lot, they would have to use the A1 setbacks, which are pretty stringent. So I want it to be a buildable lot. That's why they're requesting the R1, because the setbacks are much smaller. And so for them to be able to have like a septic system there, they'll be able to make this a conforming lot.
Are there any R1 in nearby? Because I don't see any on the map.
They are further on down the road, and it abuts right against an R3 zone property.
Mr. Thomas?
Another issue that we came across in planning when this came before us was that currently, as she stated, it's a 1.91 acres. That is below the minimum acreage required to be an A1. So as it sits, it's a non-conforming lot because it doesn't meet the size of lot for the zoning it's in. That's why they're wanting to bring it, to get it to R1, so that it can be, R1's minimum is an acre.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to speak to this? Mr. Gully?
Motion.
A motion, we have a second by Jerry Ford. All in favor? Do we have any opposed? So moved. Okay, moving on to budget amendments. Starts on page 44. Fund 101, this is, let's see here, 101, 10R. We'll need to have a roll call vote. All other budget amendments will, to be approved in one motion if that is the will of the commission. I will say that all the other budget amendments did all come favorable from budget and finance. Yes, sir, Mr. Gully.
Quick reminder on that first heading there, that's February 2024, should be February 2025.
Thank you. Okay. So this one is the county has received funding from opioid settlements over the past 2 years. An estimated $65,000 of the settlements must be spent by the end of February 2025. The first round of contributions, the mayor has selected 2 entities that he would like to send the funding to. It is outlined in your opioid usage manual. These entities would like to give reports back to the county on how the funding was used. We have Hartsville Hope and Healing to be given $50,000 to support their efforts of education and prevention of substance abuse in the community. The next one is Haven House Rehabilitation Center to be given $25,000. This is to support their treatment and recovery of addicts in our community. This amendment also moves funds out of the reserves into the expense of alcohol and drug programs. At this time, do we have any questions or comments or anything from the mayor on this?
I'd like to make a couple of comments. When our committee, we had a little trouble getting our committee together last month, and we checked with the state and found out that I could go ahead and designate as mayor. Just to let the commission know, Jane Hamrick, who is the head of Mid-Cumberland, had canvassed all the mayors in this area to give $30,000 for a facility that they're building in Burns, Tennessee. It's kind of a political pressure situation. I chose not to contribute $30,000 to a facility that far away. One of the members of my committee, with all due respect, asked for $80,000 to hire a drug counselor for the middle school. If we had done that, then it would have been a recurring expense. The 2 entities that I have listed here did not come to me and ask for money. I have been a part of the meetings of the Hartsville Hope and Healing Alliance. Well attended, lots of community support to not only work on prevention, but also for cures. As far as Haven House is concerned, Mr. Beller, would you Mind speaking to that?
Thank you.
Step out of the county attorney role and step over into my judge role in North County. I run a recovery court, and part of what we do is a lot of times we'll have folks that come in and qualified candidates, mostly nonviolent offenders that have substance abuse disorders. And once they are assessed, they're looked at to determine whether or not they're high risk or high need or what their level is. When they do that and they make an application, a lot of times what happens, they come out of being in custody, give them an opportunity to be a more productive member of society by going into maybe a year-long treatment program. I can tell you that there are some that are out there right now that are useless, but there are some out there that are very good and they do a good job. I know that because, the scriptures tell you, says you'll know them by their fruits. Well, they bring fruit, and I see it in their participants. The Haven House is one of those groups that we use. Now we use them, and as we discussed in workshop, I don't, Smith County uses, Trowson County uses there's folks from all across the state, I'm sure, that use Haven House. You can call it a regional, facility if you want to, but it's in your community. And, they do have an outfit in Carthage for, I know that somebody's in the Haven House there where they sell goods back to the community, and all the ones that are working there are men with the extremely regimented, horse training, work and discipline. And if they want to, they can stay on and, after they graduate, and if they do that, then they become a productive member of guess where, in Trowson County. So that's kind of what they do. I give them high marks. They never had any reason to doubt their integrity or seen anything that would cause a suspicion of doing something illegal or ill-advised with the funding that they have. So, thank you.
Does anybody else? Okay, Leslie, I'm sorry, go ahead. David.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that, this is all money, that's settlement money, that we either spend it or we lose it, correct?
Yes. So we have a first from Leslie, second from Mr. Gregory. Yes. So Madam Clerk, can you please take a roll call for us on this one?
Beverly Atwood,
I'm sorry, Landon. Oh, I didn't see you there. I couldn't see behind.
Something I had sent Amy was if one of these doesn't follow through, maybe a possibility of giving it to AmeriMed. If we didn't, did we do our grant again for AmeriMed for transport for this year?
Yeah.
You still have the grant? Okay, because AmeriMed transports psych and
Go ahead, please. I'm listening.
your addicts and your psych patients are transported by AmeriMed. So that was just an option I was throwing out, like say who have been to court that have to spend, they have to go through ER sometimes first, and then they're transported to the facilities from there. So that was just an option that I was just gonna throw out if one of these didn't pan out.
Mary, did you have something for that?
There's other opioid money that will become available in time, so that's still a possibility.
Yes, Judy.
The Cunningham property.
That's what it's looking at.
Okay, do we have any other questions regarding this? We have a motion and a second. Chris?
Do we have a timeframe for these groups, reporting to us on what they're doing with that? I mean, it was mentioned that they would come at some point. Do we have an idea?
Criteria that have to be met on a timely basis to keep the grant. Isn't that correct, Amy? So they'll be reporting back on a timely basis.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. Madam, can you please have our roll call?
Beverly Atwood,
Yeah.
Tommy Belcher,
Yes.
Shane Burton,
Yes.
Alan Carmen, Brian Crook,
Yes.
Will Dennis,
Yes.
Jerry Ford, Chris Gregory,
Yes.
Jeff Gregory,
Yes.
Bubba Gregory,
Yes.
Landon Gully,
Yes.
Judy Kerr,
Yes.
David Knowlner,
Yes.
Leslie Overman,
Yes.
Mark Presley,
Yes.
Amber Russell,
Yes.
Lonnie Taylor,
Yes.
David Thomas,
Yes.
Steve Whitaker,
Yes.
19 yes.
Motion carried. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate your questions, and everybody's willing to work on that with us. Oh. At this point, going from 101.11G, 101.12, it would be 141.06, 141.07, 141.08, 141.09. At this point, we covered these in the work session. I think that there's exact wording is, would have to be that we have somebody needs to move to take these as one altogether. Leslie?
All in one and approve.
This- Have a motion and a second on here. All in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Moving forward, Ms. Crowder has presented us with a list of the following notary applications for the commission to approve for this month. We have Amy Thomas. We have Anita K. Sullivan with S&S Motors and Tina Stafford at S&S Motors. Do I have a motion to approve? Amber and Mark. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Other business. Is there any other business that needs to come before the commission? Anybody have anything? Yes, please. Counselor?
The lawsuit regarding 100.40 versus Hartsville Thousand County. Last spring, we were able to obtain a grant of summary judgment where Chancellor Smith ruled in our favor. The matter was taken up at the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals rendered their decision on December the 6th, 2024, upholding that decision. So that decision is affirmed. It is not final. They still have a short amount of time where they could file for an application to the Supreme Court of this state in order for permission to be allowed to appeal to the Supreme Court. And speaking with my co-counsel, Mr. Tom Russell, who's quite frankly has done an excellent job, he doesn't think that they will. This is a fairly solid opinion in our favor. So at any rate, I believe that the deadline will be the close of business on February the 4th, which is just next week. So I hope that I'll have a follow-up on this, and this will be a final decision by next time I see you at our next commission.
Thank you. This time, do we have any public comment? Is there anyone from the public that wishes to address the commission? Yes, sir.
Hearing wise, thank you all. Chris, you have very good questions about reporting back, and we will do so. We have our plans for utilizing that money for the assessment, community assessment will determine the exact needs. And we are also going to be trying to put up a recovery report here in South County. Yeah, thank you all very much.
Thanks, Greg. This time, I just have one thing I'd like to say. I know a lot of you guys have questions regarding some of these subcommittees and subcommittee decisions. Any topic that's going on, I encourage everybody to go set in on some of these subcommittee meetings. I'm telling you, I learned so much by attending some of these subcommittee meetings, the ones that I'm not a member of. budget and finance, those folks, they shoulder a big burden keeping this county going. I'm gonna tell you, and you can learn more just by, the information you can glean by going to some of these other committee meetings. It's very, very profound. It helps a lot. Gaining the knowledge it takes to help govern the country or the county here. So at this time, I'd like to ask anybody if we could have a motion to adjourn. Motion second. Meeting is adjourned. It is not debatable.